and kick us off. Happy New Year. Happy Monday, the 14th of January. So extremely honored for our guest speaker to grace us with his knowledge, experience, all of the great things for today. Instead of our Emerald or Diamond Circle calls, this call is replacing that. So if you miss it, no problem. I'm going to post the recording, or if you want to go back and take notes. But Keith, I've had the pleasure of becoming more connected to Keith probably in the last, I don't know, year maybe. And when I really wanted to shift my energy and the way that I was building my business back to a network marketing approach, in the way that I build my team and the way that I mentor the team. And quite a few on here have worked with me closely in the mentorship ways that Keith taught me. And it's definitely something that I wasn't, like, I kind of knew some of this stuff, but I've learned so much from Keith, so much many invaluable skills that really I hope that you can learn through our mentorship. But then hear Keith today. Keith has achieved a lot of amazing things in his business. And I think probably the one that I really was drawn to is the freedom that he's been able to create in his life because he built a network marketing business. And 5 kids, is that right?
Yes, 5 kids.
5 kiddos. I mean, he just recently had his 5th kiddo. I know when we chatted, he was just little baby. How old is he now?
A year. He's in a year on the floor.
A year. Yeah, how fast it goes. So Keith really just building this with his family and his freedom in mind, and being able to build this, I think he says, about 20 hours a week and earn a 7-figure annual income is incredible. And I know that is one of the reasons I got into this business, was for the freedom. And I hope that you really are taking notes today and learning from Keith and what he has to say on goal setting and his approach and the way that he built his business. And I posted the link to his book. He is a published author. Are you on Amazon bestseller? Where are we on the ranking right now, Keith?
Number two in network marketing, and number 2 in home-based business. So pretty cool. It's been exciting. It's kind of like, in all honesty, it's kind of like you can game the system, because it's like all the early orders are coming through right now, but it's still pretty cool to see your book at number 2.
That's amazing. Congratulations. So I had the pleasure and the honor of getting Keith's book before it was published, and being one of the people that was able to read it and provide a testimonial. And honestly, I wish I had this knowledge back when I started 8 years ago, but it's never too late. It's never too late to implement Keith's strategies and learn some different maybe approaches to your network marketing business. So with that said, I am going to turn it over to you, Keith. And again, congratulations on such a momentous time in your career. That's amazing. And yes, I'm just going to turn it over to you.
Dara, thank you so much. And it's been so cool getting to know each other more over the last year. And yeah, that's one of the coolest things about this business is I get carried away with the business opportunity part of it, and because I love it. Like, I love this business opportunity, but I had a whirlwind week. So we had the book launch last week, and then I was speaking in Connecticut, right outside of New York City, so like a 2.5-hour drive on Saturday, and then speaking in Boston on Sunday. And this morning I was doing my workout, and I don't know if I wear my emotions on my sleeves, guys, and I don't know if the audio is super soft. That my microphone that I usually use is not plugged in. Let me see if I can figure this out.
Okay. Thanks.
Is that any better?
I think that is better. Yes.
Okay. Yes?
Yes.
about like taking our earphones out? Is it too loud now?
No, I think that's perfect. Kira, yes, better? Okay.
Good. You guys can hear me okay, like it's normal volume now?
It seems a little like choppy, like wall, like in and out a little bit. Do you guys feel that? Yes? Okay.
All right, let me try one more thing here.
And there's a lot of feedback.
That's because I have 5 kids, Kira. Is it like feedback, like microphone feedback?
There's a little echo and it's a little staticky.
If I use this one, you can't hear me, right?
I can hear you.
Okay.
You guys can hear me right now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you hear that?
That's a little.
Like tapping on the microphone?
Number 1 or number 2? Number 3 or number 4? Right?
So how does this sound? Like,
Yeah, that's
like,
good.
What?
That's good.
And is this good?
Yes.
Does that make a difference?
Yes.
This better than this?
No, that's okay too.
All the same. So this thing's not working. So I keep trying to go to this microphone, but when you have 5 kids, they come in here and they mess with my microphone settings. So I can't show you guys. There's like 32 buttons on this microphone, like the dial-in thing. And right before I jumped on the call, none of the lights were lit up like that. And it's because all the dials were turned.
32 opportunities for raw. Actually, it sounds good right now, Keith.
All right, we're okay. We're gonna run with it. So I was saying that I was, saying how grateful I was to have gotten to know Dara and talking about this weekend. And so we had the book launch last week, and we had I had 2 speaking engagements for 2 Super Saturdays. I was doing like keynote speaking for 2 Super Saturdays, and I'm just like an average dude, and I get really nervous before I have to do those things. And they were both 45-minute presentations, and that's a long time to sit up there and talk. So anyways, this morning I was downstairs working out, and I just kind of there was this song on the radio. I don't even remember the name of the song, but it was about your dad being a giant and always looking up to him. And then the song switches into now I'm that giant with the little boy looking up to me. You guys can still hear me, right? All right, good. So I don't know. I was just like, I don't know if any of you guys get like this, but I had so much going on last week, and then all those, like that energy and the excitement and nervousness and all that with going on with the speaking. And I woke up this morning and I was just like ready to go. Like I, hit the ground running. It's now January, right? I feel like today's January 1st, like everything's over and now it's time to go. And I just kind of broke down crying on my workout mat. And it was just like this feeling of gratitude, because we're going to talk about the business, and we're going to talk about all the amazing things this can do for your life, but it's the people, and it's the at the Super Sunday we did. I'm always going to call it like Super Saturday and Super Sunday. It's like 3 years from now I'll get to Super Weekend. But we had you guys know Jillian Kaplan, who her story was in the Super Saturday video, and then she spoke on Sunday at the event we were at in Boston. She spoke live after that video, and it's just amazing the people that come into your life through this company, and the money's great, and the recognition is great, and all those other things are great, but it's the people, and deeper than that, it's that connection and that love, and that just wanting to be like people that just want to be their highest selves, people that just want to, that they show up and they're an inspiration for others. So even just getting on this call, like I'm so grateful to be on this call because I'm not sitting in a cubicle at work. Hopefully nobody's sitting in their cubicle right now. But like that's the opportunity that this offered. And for me, I wouldn't have been a good employee. I wasn't good at being told what to do. I wasn't good at doing that 9 to 5 thing. And I've had a lot of success in this business. And it was something that I had a little bit of an advantage coming in, and I want to share that advantage with you. But it's not going to be what you think. What a lot of people, I had gone through a lot of stuff in my life. I had walked through, like prior to becoming a Beachbody coach, I used to really struggle with anxiety and depression, and I had gone through a personal bankruptcy, and I used to drink a ton of alcohol. Like I just didn't live this life that I live now. It's almost like if you were to picture someone that 15 years ago hit rock bottom and went to AA, and now it's 15 years later. Like that's kind of the transformation I've had in my life. It wasn't that I didn't wind up going to AA or anything like that, but I did. I found a spiritual path, and I found mentors in my life, and just found people who were able to love me and see me for who I was. And, now to be sitting here 15 years later, this is an opportunity that the advantage that I had was I knew how to take an honest look at myself. Like I knew how to take an honest look at the excuses that I told myself, the reasons why. And here's the thing, when we get into this business, here's the question that goes through everybody's mind, everybody on this call. You look at other people that are having success, and then the question that goes through your mind is, can I do that? And it's usually we have all these reasons why we can't do it, right? And we believe these reasons, and a lot of these reasons are valid, but they're not necessarily true. And here's the reason that I always say that they're not necessarily true. Because has anybody in the history of the world been in a situation like you're in and overcome? And if you can say yes to that, and that's kind of like a slap in the face, right? Like when you hear that, it's painful, but it's true, right? Because if somebody else overcame it and they had a similar situation to you, you can't really hold on to that nice, comfortable excuse that you held on to, right? Whether it be time, whether it be you still have to lose the weight, whether it be, whatever your excuse is for why you haven't had success in the business yet, we hold on to that because we literally believe that it's real, right? It's not that we're like trying to kid ourselves. We believe it's real. Like we believe that the reasons that we're not having success yet are valid. And the number one question that everybody asks themselves is, can I do this, right? And that also comes in the form of, once I do the next Instagram training, then I'm going to get going. Once my blog gets up, then I'm going to get going. Once I lose the weight, then I'm going to get going. Once I complete this program, then I'm going to get going. Once the kid's this, once that, like, there's all these different things, right? And if I did my job correctly today, we're going to switch the question from, can I do this, to, am I willing to do what it takes, right? So if I did my job correctly today, you're going to have a very simple plan laid out for you. And instead of asking, can I do this, I'm going to hand the other question to you and say, are you willing to actually do what it takes? And write this down. The number one thing to being willing to do what it takes is letting go of that nice, comfortable excuse as to why you're not. That piece. Because it will remain real as long as you energize it. It will remain true as long as you energize it. But if you're brave enough to take a step back and say, you know what, that's what's keeping me back. That's what's held me back. I heard this. I'm not a big fan of Gary Vaynerchuk, but I heard this awesome quote from him the other day. And I'm not a big fan of him because I think you should have a balanced life. And he's very outwardly vocal that his life isn't balanced. Like, he works 100 hours a week. And anyways, what he said was, a lot of people, man, this is our generation. I'm looking at everybody on the call, like, we're kind of in the same generation. And so he was, Elaine shaking her head now. We're close, Elaine. We're like 2 years apart, right? So, so what Gary Vaynerchuk was saying is, a lot of people will come to him and they'll say, I realize that I have all these things that I do, and it's because of my parents, and it's because of the way that I was raised. Like, I now see that there's a different way to do things, but I have all these things that these ways I live my life, right? Does that make sense so far? So I have all these things that are kind of attached to me that society, and between society and my parents and teachers and stuff like that, it's molded me into who I am. And the question was, how do I break free of that to become who I want to be? Does that make sense? And he answered the question in a really direct manner. And he said, you just answered the question for yourself, because you said that all these things they formed you. They came in from society, they came in from teachers, they came in from parents, but that's not who you are. And he said, the second that you realize that those things are in your mind and in your habits and in your daily activities and daily routines because of other people, you can let them go. And that's an oversimplified version of that, right? So, but we have the opportunity to do that. And here's the deal in this business. And I whenever I'm mentoring, my favorite thing to do in this business is to work with leaders. I love mentoring leaders. I love working with people that are, they get to that diamond level and then they want to go beyond. And the number one question that I get whenever I'm working with leaders is, how do I find other leaders, right? Hands down, the number one question that I get. And then once they have people, or here's the second question, how do I get my people to do something? How do I get the coaches that are on my team to do something? And it's a process, but it has to be somebody that wants to do it. So we can go through and we can do all this. Like, we can, let me take one step back. The vital behaviors, right? Those should be automatic in your business. Those should be on autopilot. So write that down. Your vital behavior, it's like brushing your teeth. If you've gone 4 days without brushing your teeth, that's disgusting, right? If you're telling yourself, I'm going to do it this year in network marketing, I'm going to do it with Beachbody, like, I'm going to do it this year, and you haven't done all your vital behaviors for 4 days, that's disgusting. It is. Like, what you're doing to yourself is you're saying, I'm going to do this, and then you let yourself down. And I actually think that's worse for your health than not brushing your teeth for 4 days, because that strips away life force. That strips away. And every time you say, all right, I'm really going to do this, like, the vital behaviors, come on. You can't, like, do your workout. You can't eat healthy. You can't do your 10 minutes of personal development, like the recognition. You can't go out there and share with 2 to 5 people a day. It's literally, so put that stuff on autopilot. But the thing, so if I could title today's talk, it would be like, what do you need to do for success in 2019, right? The first thing is you got to put your vital behaviors on autopilot. Like, it's not even, it shouldn't be like, yay, I got my vital behaviors done, because you don't like celebrate when you brush your teeth in the morning, right? You don't celebrate when you took a shower. Like that in this business, that's just part of it. It's part of running a business. It's like having a new kid and changing their diaper. Like, it's just something that you do. You don't leave that diaper on a new kid. Like, your vital behaviors have to get into that space, get into that just routine. So first thing, get those vital behaviors on autopilot. And then here's another piece that I want to throw in there. I am over the moon ecstatic from something I just heard about from Carl Deichler. This is something that we've been teaching on our team for 9 years now. And if there's one action that's had huge momentum in the growth of our team, it's been this one piece, and Carl's like all over it right now. Getting to Emerald is a decision. So everybody on this call, if you're not yet Emerald, you can be Emerald tomorrow. Not in a month, like not next week. And it's a decision, because it's like, are you going to do this or are you not going to do it? And when I got to Emerald, it was my mom and my wife. Was it kind of cheating? Yeah. But did it make me feel good? Did it get me excited? Even though I hadn't really signed somebody up yet, I knew I was going to do this business, so I signed my wife up, and then I was like, Mom, Amy and I, we've been chugging down this stuff. You and Dad got to try it, and I'm going to sign you up for Shakeology, and they signed up. So on our team, right from the start, Emerald was a decision. It wasn't it's not like getting to Diamond requires doing a lot of things over and over to get there. Emerald's a decision. Like, okay, you're going to go Emerald. Who are the two people you're going to ask to do you a favor? That's as simple as it is. Does that make sense with everybody? All right. So what I would recommend, like, number one thing, write it down. If you're not yet Emerald, make the decision to do it. And if you're saying to yourself, I couldn't do that in the next 24 hours. Has anybody in the history of Beachbody that's been in your situation got to Emerald within 24 hours? Okay, your excuse isn't valid. And I also like working with my coaches. And what that does, this sounds like a basic thing, right? Like, get to Emerald. But think about the momentum that starts, because somebody just like me, I started out just like you, and I was insecure, and I didn't know how to do this, but it was like, all right, here's the first step. And I learned how to sign up a coach. I learned the process. I learned what it was like. And here's another thing, and this is fast forwarding, because my wife was the first person that I signed up, we make a lot of extra money under her account, and she doesn't necessarily actively work the business. So Emerald's a decision. Just do it. Just sign up as an Emerald coach, or just sign up and then sign up to other people. How's my audio so far, guys? Does anybody have any questions so far? Because sometimes I just start rambling and people's eyes like glaze over. And
No, you said something about like the vitals need to be on autopilot, talking about, and we talk about this on the team, like if you were hired to do a job, you had a boss and they gave you your job duties, right? Like if you didn't do them, you wouldn't have a job. But like, why is that so hard to translate down? Like this is the recipe for success in the business, is that tracker, the new Success Club system tracker, exactly telling you what to do in your business. Why is it that people are so hesitant to do it if that's the recipe for success? Such an interesting concept.
we're afraid.
What?
We're afraid. That's why we don't do it. That's why
why aren't we afraid in a real job, knowing that's going to keep our job,
Because the fear of losing your job is more powerful than the fear of not doing the thing. Right? So that's one of the blessings and the curses of this business is you don't have a boss. That's awesome, right? But you don't have a boss, so you don't have somebody looking over your shoulder, and you don't have somebody. You have to, it's the same as getting to Emerald. Like, you have to make the decision that you're going to do this, and you have to make the decision that the most important person to be accountable to is yourself. We talked about when I said that not doing your vitals for 4 days in a row is disgusting. It's very harmful to you, because what you just did is you made an appointment, you made a commitment to yourself, and then you let yourself down, and you start losing trust when you do that over and over. You start believing that you're going to actually, your word isn't good to yourself. All right, let's jump into. I have a whole little thing that I want to do here. I want to give you guys an outline for 2019, and if you guys are willing, I'm going to kind of like give it all to you. This is probably going to be like an hour-long presentation, not starting now, like from when we started, and then I can hang out for questions. Is that okay, Dara?
Yeah. Perfect.
And then if you get it, like if anybody has to jump off or whatever, and if you want to jump back on, or like it's deep out of the line, you can come back. You don't have to hang with us. But what I believe, like, you put the vitals on autopilot, and then it's work on yourself and your own mindset. It's work on who is the actual person that is showing up every single day. Does that make sense? Who's the actual woman that's showing up to do the work every single day? And I want to give you guys this is the presentation that I did at both Super Saturdays over the weekend, and this is the presentation that I did 4 years ago for a bunch of guys down in Dallas. I've done this presentation a bunch of times, and it's really again, I've had a lot of success in this business, and my secret weapon in it was I was willing to take an honest look at me and become the person that I had to become to have the success. Does that make sense? I got to walk through a lot of things to get to this point, because what happens is a lot of us think that it's we're busy. We're like, so many times I get messages from my coaches. I jumped on this Instagram training, and I did that Instagram training, and I did this, and I did that. And I'm like, yeah, but did you talk to anybody today? And the answer is always no, but I did this and this and this. But did you talk to anybody today? And a lot of times we can get caught up, and we can hide behind, especially now. Things are a little different in the network than it was when we first started. We can hide behind social media, and you have to understand that social media is like using a calculator. You have to learn how to do math first before you can use the calculator. So we just announced the top 10, right? We have all these amazing women, because it was all women, and every one of us wants to have this attraction marketing following, and the customers and the coaches, they're just coming in, right? We're just sitting back and woo, we're enjoying the fruits of making a post on social media. But what we don't see, and what we forget to look at and forget to recognize, is all the years of work that it went into getting to that. Lately, I've been doing a lot of work with Melissa McAllister. You guys know her? Melissa? You know what she trains her team on? Anybody that comes into her team, like to get started, how to reach out to their warm market. They don't get the Instagram training. They don't get all of that until they've gone through. That same with Danielle Natoni. Because that's the long game. That's a game that you don't see the rewards. You put in time for at least a year before you really start seeing those big rewards, right? Does that make sense? So I'm going to give you guys the mindset behind it. So I'm going to give you 7 points, and these seven points. Sorry, I'm logging into my iPad at the same time. The first thing I want you to remember is put your vitals on autopilot. That's not even one of the points. The second thing is I'm going to give you 7 points. 5 of them are going to be focused on mindset, and 2 of them are going to be how-tos. Because if you're not at the level that you've already talked to thousands of people, and I mean thousands of people, like you've invited that many people, personally sent that many people invites, and you've worked through and you've tried figuring this stuff out, you can't really rely on just this attraction social media piece. I think it's unbelievable. Honestly, I struggle with it, but the philosophy that I'm teaching here, it's about developing deep relationships and building a business. Like this is the first time I've ever done this. So the bottom of this book, so it's Built to Last, and it's a step-by-step guide to long-term network marketing success. And the industry that we're in a network marketing industry. Networking, talking, communicating, having conversations, building relationships. All right. Point number 1 is you have to treat your business, you have to become the CEO of your business. So let me give you, put 2 things on your plate. If I'm a coach for Beachbody, or I'm the CEO of AKC Fitness, that's the name of my wife and my company. Is that a different mindset, right? So I'm a Beachbody coach, or here's even a simpler one. I'm a distributor for the company, right? So become the CEO of your own business. Put that CEO hat on. And how, a CEO thinks differently about the business, right? A CEO isn't just thinking about, okay, I have to hit Success Club this month. A CEO would be thinking, okay, I have a new business and I want to grow this business. So here's the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to hit Success Club, but I really need to get another partner in here. I need to get somebody else that's doing this business alongside with me. The intent is different. The intention of a CEO is to build a company, build a corporation, build a team, build systems. Does that make sense? Versus the intention of, if I just look at myself as a coach, it's like, okay, I gotta run a challenge group this week. So it's not that you stop anything that you're doing, but if you decide to become the CEO of your business, your intention's very different. Your intention for what you're building, your intention for your daily activities, your intention for what you're going out there doing. Here's the cool thing. When you're the CEO of your own business, for us, it's so funny, and this may be a male thing, but it's a struggle for me not to think about my own goals and not to think about my own, what I want to get out of this business. So as the CEO of my own business, I want to make a certain income from this. And I just think about that and then I put it to the side. But now I can be the CEO of a company that the next question I ask myself is, how can I help the most amount of people? Right? So as the CEO, we ask ourselves, how can we help the most amount of people? And it's not by getting the most people into a challenge group. That's where we make the biggest mistake. Maybe that's what you do for the first time, but what happens if you get people into a challenge group, they have a good experience, and then you have one woman who actually becomes a coach, and she starts working with you. And now she runs a challenge group. And now you have your own challenge group going, and she has her own challenge group going. And then it starts to grow from there. So it's a tiny, tiny little difference in philosophy and in intent. So making the decision to be the CEO of your own business. So again, what we're talking about here, I'm going to give you guys 7 points. The first one is make the decision to be a CEO. But this is how to achieve success in 2019. The second thing is get your mind right on a daily basis. And I'm going to kind of give you guys just an overview of this, and then you can do your own, you can put it together. Here's the easiest way to get your mind right on a daily basis. The first one is to have a morning and evening routine. And that could even be 2 minutes. It could be 2 minutes in the morning and 2 minutes in the evening. But you need to do something to get your mind in the right place so you're not in your victim mode. You're not in your anxiety, your depression, your guilt, your shame, your feeling that you can't do this, your feeling that you're unworthy, right? So whatever it is for you, for me, it's always been 2 things. It's been getting very physical. So doing my workout first thing in the morning is a huge part of that. And then once I do my workout, my mind slows down a little bit so I can spend 10 or 20 minutes at my altar because my mind is slow. And then at the end of the day, the easiest thing, so for this one, follow Pat Reelman on Instagram. Every single day, he does his gratitude journal. Does it right there. Patrick Reelman. So every single day he does his gratitude journal, and that's how he's closing his day down. So you're beginning the day with good energy, and you're ending the day with good energy. It's so simple, guys. But that is going to make a huge, huge difference. And my second piece on how do you consistently get your mind right, I think you need to recalibrate as needed during the day. So what just happened today, I told you guys how I had this crazy long week last week, and then this morning I did a really intense workout, got in the shower, and I usually work at a coffee shop in the morning, so I did that, and I'm at this coffee shop, and I felt off. I felt really, really off, and I was like, there's no point in trying to work right now. I'm crashing from this 7-day thing. So I came home and I did a 45-minute meditation, like a guided meditation, and it allowed me to show up in a much different space right now than I would have had I not done that, right? So whatever it is for you. I also, this weekend, I was talking about when it was my turn to present, they had already been sitting in their seats. Everybody had been sitting in their seats for like 2 hours. So I had everybody stand up, and they started bopping up and down, right? And I told them about this thing that I do, and this is kind of weird and kind of personal, but I have this dance that I call my funk dance. And I would be like, funk, 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 get out of that funk. And then it's so funny for me, like, whenever I do that, I start like smiling and laughing. And it's just like, I don't know, there's something about that movement, that energy, and then I move on. But especially like if I'm feeling resistance, if I don't want to work out or something, I'll do that before it. But whatever you need to do for yourself, because here's the key piece. We need to get our mind, like our brains bombard us with basically telling us how we're not good enough, how we're not worthy enough, how we're not this, how we're not that. And if you're in that space, your job isn't necessarily to go out and go start sharing with people, because who wants to follow you when you're in that space, right? Nobody. Get yourself out of that. The faster you can get out of that, the faster you can get back into your power, right? Your best self, the more attractive you are. Does that make sense? Simple enough? All right. Point number 3. My iPad keeps shutting off here. Set a clear goal. So I think at a minimum, if you're on this call right now and you're not yet diamond, for the first 3 years of my business, every 90 days, we ran a training called 90 Days to Diamond. And we would just run people through it over and over, like new group, every 90 days, 90 days, 90 days, 90 days. If you're not yet diamond, I would here's what my goal would be. I wouldn't think about anything else. except for just getting to diamond within, at a minimum, the next 90 days. And then a part of that, if you're not yet emerald, make the decision overnight. Like, get to emerald. So, super simple. Set a clear goal, and then don't deviate from that goal. Stay in your lane. Like, this is where I'm going. I'm going to diamond. So, okay, what do you need to get to diamond? Print out. Everybody seen those little diamond tracker sheets? You guys use those? Print that sucker out and fill in the dots, right? Like, that's your goal. If your goal is to get to diamond, set a clear goal, Michelle. So set one goal, not it really like it's too much if your goal is I'm going to hit Success Club 10 and I want to be a Success Club All-Star and I want to get to 2-star diamond and I want to get to like just one thing and stay focused on that until you hit that one thing, then move on to the next goal, right? So keep it super simple. Right now, what is it for you? And maybe you want to set a goal for a year out from now. So maybe you want to be a 5-star Diamond Elite coach. That's awesome. What are you going to do over the next 90 days then? Right? What are you going to do that's going to push you towards that goal? So set a 90-day, very clear, very simple goal. Easy enough?
Yes.
All right. Step number 4. This one I love. Step number 4 is real. Write that word in all capital letters. R-E-A-L. And then personal development. Reading 10 pages a day is not personal development. Getting on this phone call, getting on this Zoom call is not personal development. Personal development is a combination of those two words. You're a human, you're a person, and you're developing yourself. So if you read 10 pages a day but you don't do anything with it, you haven't grown as a person. I would rather you read. So there was one time we have this group called, it used to be called The Wall, now it's called the Round Table, where Dara and I met. And we had this post that went up there that we're doing a book a week club, so we're going to read 52 books this year. And I saw the person that posted it, and I was like, that's awesome. Honestly, I probably read that many books, but I'm like a skimmer until I find like, ooh, I need that right there. And then I go deep into becoming what I just read. So I'd rather you read one book, and if you're going to read famous book. No, I'd rather you read one book and become what you're focused in on than just skimming. Like, we don't need more information. You know what the biggest problem with Beachbody coaches are? We're overtrained and we're underperforming. We don't need more information. We don't need another training. We just need to do. Right? Like, we need to do what we're taking in. Sometimes it's just too much. Mm-hmm. Yeah, consumer of information, but no growth. So the personal development, here's what I believe personal development is. It's finding out, like, what's the thing that's holding you back? What's the piece that you really need to grow through? And getting the right resource for that. Maybe it's a therapist. Maybe it's a mentor. Maybe it's going to AA. Maybe it's letting go of that toxic relationship that you have. Like, whatever it is for you, like, that's personal development, not flipping through a book, not constantly listening to podcasts, not constantly jumping on the next training. Not that these are good, but these are secondary, right? Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. All right. I can get carried away with that. That's like, I could do a whole weekend training on that, but I'm going to leave it at that. Like, work at becoming the best version of you. So that was number 4, real, capital R-E-A-L, personal development. Number 5 is, am I going to give this one a title? So number 5 is, just call number 5 Bob's story. And then I'll tell the story and it'll make sense, all right? So when my sponsor, Bob Lucido, got signed up, for 6 months, he tried getting me to sign up as a coach. Literally for 6 months. I was like, no, 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 no. It actually got to the point where I was like, sat down with him and I was like, dude, you have 4 kids, you're a lawyer. Like, I'd love to do that. And he's telling me he's going to be a full-time Beachbody coach. And I'm like, I'd love to do this thing, but come on, this is the real world. Like, you can't just go slinging shakes and DVDs and think that you're going to be able to, you know, support your kids and your wife. And he was on his second marriage. I was like, you have an ex-wife and alimony, like, you know, all these things. And he kept messaging, and it got to the point that I was so tired of hearing about it that I deleted him on Facebook. Like, I didn't want anything to do with this Beachbody coaching thing. I was annoyed with it. And so at this point, Bob had gone, we had actually both gone through, we had done P90X. We had believed in the products. We both went through, we did P90X for like 2 years and got great results. We believed in the products. We believed in the company. He believed in the company. He believed in the business opportunity, and he believed in himself. Like, he knew he would be, or let me rephrase that. He believed that he could do this, right? But I still hadn't signed up with him. And then he went out to a summit, and I hadn't gone yet to summit. So he went to his first summit. I wasn't yet a coach. And he got to meet Carl Deichler, Tony Horton, Shalene Johnson, Craig Holliday. And then he got to meet some of the amazing coaches, Barbie Callahan. Is that how you pronounce her new last name? She's Barbie Decker then. And he got to meet Tracy Morrow, Doug Fitzgerald, and Christine Dwyer. So all these amazing coaches. And he gave me a call, and he said to me, you know, Keith, that this is the last time I'm going to call you. And he went through his whole spiel, and something had happened. And his passion was different about it. And here's what I heard through all the words. I'm going somewhere, and I'm going to make something of this, and I'm going with or without you. And what happened, and catch this point. So this is the point of Bob's story. This would have been the title, but it's kind of long. He went from believing he could to knowing he would. Everybody catch that? Mm-hmm. Like, from believing that you can do something to knowing without a doubt that you are going to do it. That is way sexier than any of the selfies. When somebody knows where they're going and somebody like they have that self-esteem, that confidence, that vision, they're going somewhere and they're going with or without you, that's when people start following you. That's when people start saying, what does she have? I want some of that. Make sense? All right, so we titled that Bob's story, but the tagline is moving from believing you can to knowing you will. Number 6. So those 5, those are all, like, you see when we're packaging that mindset piece right there, if you're doing everything that you're doing now, but you have all of that mindset package, can you see how things are going to be different in your business? Can you see how the results are going to be different in your business? I'm just going to fast forward through number 5 and number 6 because these are the how-tos. Number 6 is when I was building heavy then, I shared and I shared and I shared and I shared. And here was how I shared. I literally talked to 10 people a day, invited 10 people a day, and then I followed up. And the way that played out in numbers was I would reach out to 10 people. I would excitedly tell them that I just got signed up with Beachbody. I'm going to do this full-time coaching thing. I'm going to run with it as hard as I can. Do me a favor. Would you check out this business opportunity? That was it. I talked to 10 people. 3 people got on. 1 person signed up. Talked to 10 more people. 3 people got on. 1 person signed up. And just kept doing that over and over and over. And so you know how in the beginning we were talking about doing math versus doing a calculator? That's math. Like, get talking to somebody. And here's the place where I want you to the sharing place to really simplify this. You don't do that until you have trust with the person.
Mm.
That's why the social media game is a long game, because you're not going to get trust right away.
Yeah.
You have to put in a lot of content to get to the point that somebody trusts you. But you have a lot of people in your life that they already trust you, right? So any of my cousins, my friends, college roommates, stuff like that, I could call them up right away because we already had trust, right? There's already trust there. And here's how I use Facebook. I use Facebook, and now it says like suggested friends. I would be like, I think I drank a beer with that dude one time in college. And so I would friend him, and like we would kind of get back in touch there. I would spend a couple of days establishing rapport again till we got to the point that there's a little bit of trust again. Now I can present it to that person, right? So that was the active reach out. And I never, until 3 years ago, so I've been doing this for 9 years, the first 6 years of my business, I never had a single person come to me. It was always like doing that, like reach out, grassroots stuff. I was never good at it. And I was never, I just wasn't good at it. It wasn't a skill set of mine. But however you're doing it, just think about like taking that act, like sharing the products, sharing the business opportunities, someone trusts you. Like if there's one thing that I'm really good at in this business, there's a million different how-tos, but philosophy is philosophy is something that you can't, it's the same no matter as the how-tos change, the philosophy is the same. That makes sense? And the philosophy with sharing our products and sharing the business is do it a lot and build trust with people. Right? Simple enough? And the second piece, or the seventh thing, so the sixth one was sharing. It's not any more complicated than that. Share and do it in a simple manner. And number 7 was just taking massive action. So if you want to have success in this business, and success means different things to different people. Emerald you can do overnight, right? You can do that overnight. If you want to get to diamond, that's going to take work. And it's not like if you want to get to a goal like that and then continue growing, you have to make some sacrifices in your life. And those sacrifices are, because it's like pushing a boulder over a hill, right? Like in order to get this business going, you have to you push a boulder all the way up till it gets to the top of the hill, and then it rolls down. It gets easier, right? So if you're working hard and you're pushing that boulder, but then you take a week off, that boulder rolls back down to the bottom of the hill, and then you got to start again to push it up, right? It's really like this in this business where you want to be taking that consistent action to get your business moving forward, to get the momentum. And that goes for social media, that goes for bringing in coaches and getting them to do work. Like everything that you're doing in your business, you have to get that momentum, and then it really kind of takes off on its own. So it's the 2 how-tos are sharing, and sharing isn't, here's the one thing that everybody has different ways, like an exposure or this or that. When I use the word sharing, it means actually having a conversation with a human being and inviting them to something. That's a share. Posting something up on your social media, unless you're a Melissa McAllister or Danielle Natoni and you can post something up, or Rainer Odell, like you can post something up and get 60 people that sign up for something. You can work at getting to that stuff, and I encourage you to, but if you're not there yet, a share is actually talking to somebody and like actually inviting that person to something. Does that make sense? and then doing it with massive action. All right, closing out 2016, let's make this super simple. Here's your action steps, and there's going to be 4 of them. This is your, 2016, I've been saying that. I was saying it all weekend, too. 2019. First thing, put the vitals on autopilot. Second thing, set your goals. Goal. Third thing, share like crazy. And then this fourth piece, all of that mindset stuff we talked about. The fourth one is become the woman. We don't have any dudes on here, right? All women today. Become the woman capable of achieving and holding the rank. And that's you, right? So if you look at your list, you really only have 2 things to focus on, because put the vitals on autopilot. Done, check, don't have to think about it anymore. Set your goal, done, check, don't have to think about it anymore. What this business really comes down to, I didn't even have to do this whole entire thing. I could have just said, share like crazy, and then become the woman capable of holding whatever the goal is that you're going for. Does that make sense? So just, like, keep it super simple. It's not any more complicated than that. That plan is simple, but let's not kid ourselves. It's not easy. Look at, like, rowing through our own stuff and putting our insecurities and our own excuses on the table and giving them an honest look. It's not easy. It's simple, but it's not easy. All right, guys. So we'll I'll take a breath there. Like I said, I can hang out and do questions, or you guys want to do. Hopefully some of that was of some value to you guys.
Hi, Keith. Awesome stuff. Thank you so much, and perfect timing as we are in the first breaths of 2019 and really thinking about our business and our goals. And this is amazing. Very, very helpful. Took a lot of good notes. You touched on it, but you talked about the importance of team building. And so can you just maybe talk a little bit more about, how that focus, that intention that you set in the beginning, what that meant for the longevity of your business. So instead of moving from instead of focusing on constantly running challenge groups and pushing product, to actually building a network marketing business and building a team and empowering other people and giving them systems to be successful, what that meant in the grand scheme of a business almost a decade later for you.
Yeah, I'll give you a cool little timeline, and then we can talk about that. So I decided to become a coach, and I decided to go all in on this business. And I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how I was going to do it. I was so enthusiastic about it and so passionate about it. I went, started sharing and stuff like that. 11 months later, I got to the point that I was able to do this full time. And for me, that was $1,000 a week. That was 9 years ago. I wish it was still the same. We had 1 kid then. We have 5 kids now. But I got to $1,000 a week. And I remember 11 months later, I remember sitting at my desk. It was January. And it was the end of January. I was sitting at my desk. And again, I was just crying. I was so grateful. And I was grateful because I was rich. And it wasn't that the crazy money hadn't come yet. $1,000 a week is a lot of money, right? But the lots and lots and lots of money hadn't come yet. But I was free. And that's what this opportunity offered. And that's when I first got involved with Beachbody and network marketing, the thing that caught my eye was freedom. That I could build a business on my terms, and I could build that $1,000 a week at that point if I didn't show up to work the next day, because this was $1,000 a week of team bonuses. Now, you guys have to understand, I've never hit higher than Success Club 17. We have over 30,000 people on our team, and I've never hit higher than Success Club 17 because I had brought in some people, taught them how to do it. They taught people how to do it. And we built a team of leaders, right? So I was always focused right from day one. My number one goal was to find 5 leaders. That was it, like 5 real leaders. So all my actions were were part of that. So 11 months in, we get to that point, able to start doing this full time. 3.5 years into the business, I went on a 2-week spiritual retreat. And while I was on that 2-week spiritual retreat, we shut off from technology. So I was away on that retreat with my family. We shut off from technology. When I got home, I checked my Coach Online office, and while I was gone, 0 communication with anyone. The team had added 800 coaches in those 2 weeks, and I didn't have a single text message, a single direct message, a single email. Like, nobody needed me. And it wasn't that I was smarter than other people. In all honesty, it wasn't even that I probably worked just as hard as some people. Like, I hustled my butt off for those first 2 years, but it was an intent from the start. I looked at my business like a CEO, and my number one goal was on finding and developing people. Like, it was on, I always say that I'd rather have one person that's all in on this business than 100 coaches that are kind of dipping their toe in the water. Because just from when we first started, I said that I'll probably talk a lot about just strictly business stuff, but it's the people. But looking at a strictly business thing, like, we've got in our downline now, we've got a lot of successful coaches, but just pulling like any name out, say Nicole Jones. Nicole Jones has a team that produces like 50,000 volume points a week right now. I had invested a lot of time in helping her like get her business up and going and working with her leaders. That was 9 years ago. And for 8 years ago. For the last 8 years, 50,000 volume points looks like, I don't know, an extra $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a week in my paycheck from developing one leader. Right? So it was always and sometimes that, like, we talk about these huge numbers, right? But what if you had 1 or 2 people helping you and you were making an extra $100, as opposed to, if you don't sell the challenge pack next week, you don't get paid. You see that, like, slight difference? And it's harder. It's a lot easier to sell a challenge pack than it is to bring in a coach and have that coach actually do some work. But it's harder and it's a longer play, but the rewards pay over and over and over and over. And you also get to help more people that way, because if you're just focused on what you can do, you can only do a certain amount. But if you can bring in another person that is doing the same thing, now you're helping more people. It's indirectly, but if my sponsor, Bob, never signed up, he wouldn't have been able to help me and help me get signed up. And if I never signed up, I wouldn't have been able to help Nicole. So even though he didn't really work directly with Nicole, she's still signed up because he signed up, right? So he signed up, he signed me up, I signed Nicole up. So it's really like it's just a different intent. Instead of just looking at, okay, it's Success Club this month, what we were always looking at is we're looking like that was the ultimate goal. You're muted, Dara.
Zoom always says you're muted. Yes, looking for leaders, becoming a leader of leaders. So Michelle wanted to know, in that 11-month period when you built to $1,000 a week, how much time did you think you invested? Like, rewinding the tape back. Do you remember?
You guys want the honest answer? So during that time frame, I had an advantage again. So I believe that anybody that's ever had big success in this business, when they had the big success, they were either A, really inspired, or B, really desperate. Everybody in Beachbody that's built a business, it's been one of those two fuels or a combination of both have been behind them. One of them you can manufacture. The easiest way to get inspired is do one of our programs 100%. Like follow the nutrition plan, like do it 100%, but you're going to feel freaking good, right? So that's the way to be inspired. I had just gone through a personal bankruptcy, and I just got married, and I just had our first daughter, and I'm like a proud type A alpha man, and I needed to make stuff happen for my family. So during that time frame, I told my extended family, told my friends that I'm going to kind of disappear for a year. The only thing I did, I stopped watching TV. The only thing I watched that year was the Patriots, because I'll never not watch the Patriots. But it was the only thing I did for the entire year. And I'm talking like waking up at 6 in the morning and going to bed at 9, 10 at night. But I was doing it, you know, it was, I don't know. I knew. So again, going back to the believe you can to knowing you will. When I signed up as a coach, I was like, there was just something inside of me that I knew I could do this. And a huge part of that, if you have any downline coaches, here's the number one thing you can do for them. It's to believe in them. Like that's the biggest gift you can, because I had my sponsor, Bob, and then I also worked very close with Craig Holliday, who's a mentor for Beachbody. And out of everything those two men did for me, they believed in me before I believed in myself. And having somebody like believe in you like that it's you can't put a number on it or a value on it. It's like you can't, I wouldn't have had the success that I had I not had people believing in me. And I think that's one of the big things with the people that I've mentored too, is being able to see them not where they're at and not like with all these like things that they've picked up in life, but where they can be and holding that vision until they see it for themselves. So that was a long answer to I worked a lot.
I think a lot of our stories started like that, though. I mean, it was all I thought about. I mean, I had a full-time job and I was pregnant and then a newborn, but it was just, I don't know, I guess to me, it was just, I was so passionate about what I was doing. It didn't feel like I was working as much as I did. Now looking back, like it seems like nothing really. I don't even remember it really. Like, oh my God, that felt so hard. I don't really remember that as much, but.
Yeah, I don't remember it feeling, I remember it being like a lot. And I remember sometimes like, you know, I would do a lot of, like I said, I did a lot of one-on-one stuff, and anybody that was local, I would set appointments, and like I would do it for any time. And I remember one time this woman said, I can only do it at Saturday at 7 o'clock in the morning. So I like drove to a place to meet her at 7 o'clock, and she just no called, no showed. I still haven't heard from her. And I don't know if she like did it to mess with me, but like that hurts, right? When that happens, it hurts. But yeah, it was a vision and a dream, and I wanted what we have now from my family. And I knew we're at a special time right now with Beachbody. I don't know if you guys realize this, but so right now, it used to be Beachbody and Team Beachbody, right? So Beachbody is the infomercial side, and Team Beachbody is the network marketing side. And for the last 12 years since the network's been apart, they've always clashed because certain products are good for infomercials and certain products are good for network marketing. And for you guys that have been around for a while, have you ever had like there's just too many things launching right now, or there's too much going on? That's because of the clash within those two. And what they're doing is, that's the reason that everybody knows that Carl's separating the two, right? So yeah, it's going to happen in like a couple weeks. So where there's going to be no more Beachbody, no more Team Beachbody. It's all just going to be Beachbody. So everything's going to be Beachbody, and the benefit of that is we can now truly be. So if you've listened to Carl, within the last couple of weeks, he started talking about Emerald's decision, like just go out there and do that. So we're getting more and more into the network marketing model. But I bring that up because I think two things. I think Beachbody is a very unique thing, and you only have opportunities like this come up maybe once or twice in your life. And it's an unbelievable time to be a Beachbody coach right now. It's an unbelievable time to, I think we're going to look at 2019, and it's going to be the year that, we had the big growth when we were a startup company and all of that. This is going to be the year that we become like the health and fitness company and start expanding deeper and deeper. And there's going to be a lot of coaches who ride that wave. So yeah, but you got to be in the ocean to ride the wave. You got to be doing the work. You got to be up. If it's a surfing analogy, you got to be up on your board to ride the wave, right? So it's like the momentum's here. The wind's against our back right now, but we got to make the decision to do the work.
Yes, I love that. Awesome. Keith, you lit me up. Any questions, team?
I know nobody said a word except for Dara.
It's always like that. Just give it to me. I'll talk. I got it from my mom, who's Elaine. I'm surprised she's not saying anything.
Oh, I thought that was your sister.
Questions, team? All right. Yes.
Thank you. Very helpful. Lots of notes. Tons of notes.
You're welcome, guys. And just continue to pray about it and continue to vision your business, your life. A lot of times we focus on what we don't want. Like really hold that vision strong for what you want your life to look like, your relationships, like all of it, your finances, every single part of it, and make that. You're going to talk to yourself all day long. So start putting good stuff in there. Start focusing in on what you want, because if you're not doing that, your mind's going to continue to focus in on other things.
Actually, that made me think of a question. Again, you might hear my kids scream. See? Do you have anything specific that you feel works for you, like a vision board, or do you have something specific to help you hold your vision strong? Sorry.
I don't think Keith can relate to that, Larissa, with the kids. I mean, geez.
So for me, it's my spiritual path, and it was something that came into my life when I needed it, and it's something that I continue to pull strength from. But I think it's exercising that spiritual muscle, exercising that mental muscle, just like we have to exercise our bodies. There's actually in the book, there's a whole chapter on that too. And some of the different things that I talk about are like putting reminders on your phone, like if you had a reminder that went off every hour, flashcards, note cards, morning, like having your morning and evening routine, different stuff like that. It's whenever I'm on a call like this, I'm always like, oh my gosh, I wish we had a week to go through all this, because there's just so much.
I know.
Yeah, check out that stuff in the book. That'll help. And then get somebody, like stay close to the people that really believe in you and support you.
Yep.
I have a question.
Yes, Kira.
Hi.
I'm glad you didn't
Kira.
cross when you were driving.
Thank you so much for your time.
Go ahead, sorry.
Okay, so I had a question going back to what you said. You said you reached out to, you have this like routine. You reached out to 10 people. you got 3 people into, like, I'm guessing like a new coaching call, and then you would get 1 person assigned. So you have this tracking, right? You've tracked these numbers. And because you've done coaching for so long, I want to see if you have a number or a ratio of like the coaches, the challengers that you've signed, that like the number of challengers to get like a diamond, to get like a leader. Do you have something like that?
Yeah, I'm going to give you the honest answer, and you guys are all going to cringe. I've never run a single challenge group.
Oh.
So,
Mind blown.
in the beginning, we didn't have challenge groups, so I've definitely sold a lot of products. When the challenge group concept came out, I had gotten to the point that I was now able to attract people in just to do the business. But it was people that had already gone through and had an experience with our products. Just to give a quick little like background, I have a blog that only has like 40 blog posts on it, but it's very specific, answering. I thought, like, if I was searching and I wanted to know more about Beachbody coaching, what would I look for? So my 40 blog posts are all answering those questions. So if anybody comes from that, they're already interested in coaching, and they've most likely already had experience with products. I also have a podcast called All About Beachbody Coaching, which is just a standalone podcast. It's like 15 episodes, and it's the same thing. It just answers questions that people might have. So the people that come in now, they're already interested in coaching. But it's 2 different funnels. So you have a funnel. Everybody knows the funnel for how do we bring in a customer or a coach, right? And that's, you talk to so many people. Well, first of all, you have the world. Then you have the people that are seeing your stuff on social media. Then you have the people you're in conversations with. Then you have the people that you send the sign up thing out to. Then you get the people that sign up, right? For coaching, it's just another new funnel. And a lot of people don't realize it's another funnel. So you have all these people that signed up as customers or coaches. Then you're going to have some people that do a little. Then you're going to have some people that get to like diamond. Then you're going to have people that do a lot. Here's a crazy number. You don't need a lot of people to be all in on this. Out of the 30,000 people on my team, I have maybe 100 leaders. And that's not like personally sponsored. That's like in the entire downline. And I'd say I've only personally worked with like 20 of them, like one-on-one work. Because if you do your job right, you develop a leader, you also empower them to they then go out and develop other leaders. Does that make sense? So answering the question, like, how many people do you have to sign up? Like, I think the direct question was, how many coaches do I have to bring in to find leaders, right? Right. So that's going to be completely dependent on how good are you at inspiring other people and then developing them into leaders. Because some people can bring in 100 and not find one leader. I've worked with coaches that have literally sponsored. Like, I work with some of the top 10 coaches that don't have any leaders in their downline, but they've sponsored 2,000 coaches and don't have one leader.
It's pretty much where I'm at. So I'm like, is it a numbers game? Like, I know, and I think really, like, I'm coming into my own. I'm realizing that the only reason I'm not a good leader are my self-limiting beliefs. So it's good to hear from you that it's not, in this aspect, it's not a number game. You just have to be willing to pour into your people.
Honestly, and Dara will tell you, did you read this? Like, that's this whole entire book. That's all it's about. It's about finding and developing leaders.
And don't you think that to find leaders, Keith, I mean, is developing yourself as a leader, positioning yourself as the leader, right? Like you talk about in your book. I mean, when you believe, not that you believe you can, that no, you will, right?
Yeah, and it's so much like a huge part of that book, like multiple chapters, is dedicated to. So here's the number one question that people ask is, how do I find and develop leaders? Like, hands down, because I work with a lot of leaders, that's the question they ask. And my answer always is that, and they want to know, let me rephrase that. The question they usually ask is, how do I get my people working? Like, that's the number one question that people ask. And when I'm looking to develop a leader, from the very first interaction that I have with that person, I'm positioning myself as a leader. So if you look at any of my, like I just told you with those blog posts and with All About Beachbody Coaching, I'm positioning myself, and I'm answering, here's the two questions that are going to go through every single one of your coach or coach prospects. Can I do this? And does she have the ability to help me, right? They'll never ask you that, but that's going to go through every single question, every single one person's mind. So right from the start with all of my prospecting stuff, I'm explaining how this business works. I'm explaining how I mentor, and there's trust. Back to that trust word, there's trust built there. Then when they come to me, they fill out an application. I actually send them an email back that says, hey, I'm super busy. Send me a text message so I don't miss it. So now somebody's listened to my stuff. They fill out an application. I tell them that I'm not even going to get back to them. Text me now. So they text me and they're like, Keith, I'm so excited. I can't wait to talk to you. So now we do a phone call. I still haven't signed them up. And I go through a screening process, and I always tell them, I may not be the best fit for you. You may not be the best fit for me. Let's see if we're a good fit for each other. And then I tell them, I'm not the best person if you're looking for someone to run a challenge group with, but if you want someone to teach you how to build a big business, that's what I'm good at. So like, think about that. If you went through all that, now you sign up as a coach, what happens is they get signed up and they're saying, Keith, tell me what to do. Okay, here's what we do. We sign 2 people up in the next 24 hours. And 50% of the people do that, 50% of the people don't. And then of the ones that do that, they start falling out. And then everybody settles into their own level. But when I do that, I'm positioned as a leader. And it's not, and if you do it the other way, like what most people do is they want to know, I have this person, how do I get them to do something now? And it starts way before that, if that makes any sense.
There's a question from Michelle, like, how do you, when like someone's a challenger, they're rocking their journey, which I think is an important piece to maybe the next step to be a rock star coach, how do you pour that belief into that person when they're just not ready?
Hold on, say that again.
Michelle has a rock star challenger. She will not sign as a coach. I feel like there's something more I could do or say to encourage her to help her understand how amazing she would be, since she's like already rocking her own journey with a Beachbody program. Yeah. Do you have any tips for her?
Yeah, I think that it's awesome to believe in somebody like that. And you want to continue to encourage her and support her and try to get her to move forward. But you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. So the way that an easy analogy to look at it, like an easy way to look at it is, let's say someone was abusing drugs and they needed to get help, right? They needed to go to a program, and you can tell them how much destruction they're doing to their life and their family and their body and their loved ones. But until that person's ready to make the decision, like, you can't do anything. You can just be there, and the second that they are ready to make the decision, then you're there for them, and you can remind them that you love them and you're there for them and the stuff they're doing. But ultimately, that person has to be ready. So I actually have, when I have someone like that in my business, I call them a sleeping giant. And again, another chapter in the book, I call it touching sleeping giants. And you just let that person know that you believe in them and you support them, and maybe you send them a book or something. Like when I was building Heavy, I used to send, we had years ago in Oprah magazine, Darren O'Lean had this huge 10-page things, and I just photocopied it. So I had that. I had a couple DVDs. We were in Success magazine like 5 years ago, so I had that. And I would just send random things out, like in the mail, physical things in the mail. Oh, this reminded me of you, and like a handwritten letter, but not, this was like once a month or even once a quarter. You're touching that person. So if and when they're ready, then you're there. Does that make sense?
I love that. And knowing it took you 6 months, it took me a year. I mean, imagine had those people Bob or my upline given up after the, you know what I'm saying? So it is so important to just keep watering the seeds and touching them and letting them know you thought of them and inviting them to something new. And I think that constant just like reminder that you're here is so powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know that people don't want to hear this, but you have no idea who's actually good and who's not. You can never predict, because there's so many people, and Doris, I have a lot of people that you're like, oh, he's going to be the next rock star. She's going to be the next rock star, and they do nothing. And then all of a sudden, this person comes out of the woodwork and like blows it up, and you're like, where do you come from? And it's just, you just don't know. You really don't.
Yep, that's right. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Anything else? I know we appreciate you so much, Keith. We appreciate your time. You know, Keith has been hopping on calls with me, you guys. I am not in his downline. He does not truly directly benefit from this, but he's so giving to the network. And I think it's really incredible to have someone like this in our network, pouring the value, giving all of these really great tips. And read his book. Larissa already ordered it. I know my mom's going to get it. Really everything that we've talked about here just really takes it into that deeper level, learning about the things that he shared. So thank you, Keith. We are so grateful for you.
What a lot of people are doing is setting up little study groups with it, because it's set up like to follow along. You can do like 2 chapters a week or something like that. So yeah.
Am I frozen?
All right,
Am I frozen? Okay. Thank you. Bye.